What's up, you guys? Steven back again with Magic Metal Money. Got another Flesh and Blood update. Quick little video today on the market. Crucible of War, the third set. It's crazy town. It's just going up and up and up. It's just cruising. It's just cruising on up. Why is it? Big reason why. The announcement came out, and by now you probably already know. In case you don't, the big announcement that as of right now, there is no unlimited printing scheduled. So that's a huge, huge deal, right? So remember, with Flesh and Blood, really unique situation with the brand new card game. Legend Story Studios said, hey, we're going to go hard. We're going to make sure that we can appeal to both collectors / investors, speculators, whatever you want to call them, people who really care about premium collecting and the playability of the game. And the biggest way they're doing that, alpha printings, right? Those first edition printings versus unlimited printings. So every single set, right, starting with Welcome to Wraith, Arcane Rising, now Crucible of War, all of them, they have the initial first printing wave. And the boxes are stamped. It's very easy to tell that they're first edition alpha printings. And those have the special cold foilings, right? So not just regular rainbow foils, but those nice, beautiful cold foilings. Only available there. That's how they're appealing to that market. And then they say, hey, as far as the playability goes, anyone who wants to play this game, we want to make sure this game is always cheap and accessible and available to play. So the unlimited printings, there's no code foilings, and they'll just print boxes again and again. So we're not saying, hey, welcome to Wraith. We did a one-time printing, first time we've ever introduced this game to the world, and that's all the product there is. No, of course they said, we'll come back when we reprint it later, which is exactly what they did. Same thing with Arcane Rising. Well, Crucible of War, right, that set came out, and it's the most recent set, came out towards 3-4 months ago. That set, there's only the first edition printing. Now, that first edition print wave is probably bigger, right? They did release more of the product, but as of right now, they have not scheduled any unlimited printing. Right, they're fully ramping up for Monarch, the next set to come out in early 2020, the spring 2020 release. They're saying, hey, this is it. We're going hard. We want this set to be everything. We want it to be successful. We want it to be a huge hit. So they're just going all out, and they're already printing. They're already getting that schedule. They're already getting it all ready to go. So that way they don't have any logistical problems. As you know, trying to ship anything, especially internationally during 2020, is basically impossible. Ships aren't moving. Everyone's saying, hey, hold up, keep your cargo there, keep your inventory there. We can't take it. We don't have room for it. Distributors, local game stores, the whole system is just, it's challenging, right? So they're really preparing. They don't want there to be any delays. They want to say, hey, when Monarch releases, everyone who wants to play can play. So they're ramping up and they're preparing ahead of time. And unfortunately, right, we live in a world of limited resources. They're saying, hey, in order to do that, we're going to put a pause on the Crucible of War unlimited printing. So once that news came out, literally over the course of an hour, boxes went from $300 to $400. I watched it happen. I was keeping my eye on it. I just kept refreshing the internet, just interested in to see what happens. Just kept cruising up, and they leveled out at about 400. Right? There might have been a few. You might see a few eBay sold listings that spiked above, some that were a little bit below. Someone who said, "Hey, I bought this box for $70, $80. I'm just gonna unload it for $350, right?" And they just want to get rid of it quick. So you're gonna see some overall different little price points, but it looks like the market, after 5-6 days of this information, this news, it's starting to settle at about 400. Now, what's interesting is literally just this morning, I'm keeping an eye on it, really micromanaging this, and you see these sells, and they're about 400. And then this morning, a local game store, right, they listed on TCG, they listed 36 boxes at $396, so just barely undercutting the market. I mean, there aren't that many sales going on. It's not like these are selling every hour on the hour. There's 5 sales going through. There's not that many sales in a day, right? Even though everyone's excited about it. So listing 36 is actually a pretty significant number as far as what's actually the transactions that are actually happening. And this local game store, they probably just said, hey, in a given month, we make what, $1,000 profit? I mean, most LGSs don't make a lot of money. They said, hey, we make $1,000. 2020, we're lucky to keep our doors open, and we're losing money every month, right? Just to open the doors and pay our employees. So what are they going to do? They say, hey, these spiked to $400 a box. All right, we got 6 cases in the back. Let's list those and let's clean. I mean, that's gonna be like $14,000. After cost of goods, after their cost of goods sold and selling fees and shipping, they're still going to clear at least $10,000, right? I mean, how that's huge for them. So even just one store deciding, hey, we got 6 cases, that doesn't take up that much space, right? A few boxes in the back of the store said, hey, let's list these. Let's clear 10K and let's pay the bills. Let's get back in the black for the year. I mean, that's huge for them. So it's not too surprising to see players like that, and they're slightly undercutting the market. They could have gone hard and gone at like 350, 370, but they decided to get close to it. So they still want to maximize as much as they can. So they're maybe not desperate for cash, but little players like that in such a small market, little market noise like that can make a difference, right? It can slow things down. So if you bought this at 350 as you saw it going up over the course of that hour from 300 to 400, and you're saying, hey, I want this to be 500 by the end of the month, I'm going to flip it and clear $100 profit. That's risky stuff, man. Flipping product that's on the hot rise. If you want to buy it because you want to open it, you want to enjoy it, that's great. If you want to buy it for the long term and say, hey, if this game takes off, 5 years from now, this box is going to be worth $1,000, whatever you want, fine, you can do that. But if you're trying to just flip it, you can see little things like that. One person, one store deciding to list 36 boxes, that's going to pump the brakes. Right? It's going to pump the brakes. It's going to pause everything, and it's going to take a little bit longer to get to 500, right? Unless there's another huge buyout and someone says, hey, I'm going to buy all the Crucible of War all at once. That's a game changer, right? They buy 70% of the sealed product on the market, so you have some of the 30% that didn't sell to them. Sweet, spike just priced, but price just spiked. But barring that happening, a little craziness there. This is just an opportunity for if you're trying to spike this and flip it and make a quick $100. Something like this prevents you to it. Now the question is, if you want to play Flesh and Blood and you want to enjoy the card game and you want to say, hey, this game is fun, my friends and I are starting to get into it, my local game store, they bought a few cases of it, and there's a little player group that's starting on Wednesday nights or whatever it is, if that's legal and allowed wherever you are and that's safe, whatever the case is, if you want to play this, dang, I got to spend $400 just for one box so we can do a draft with my friends? Like, that stinks, right? That kind of sucks. No one wants that. So, will Legend Story Studios do an unlimited printing? They reserve the right. They reserve the right to, right? They said, hey, just because we're moving past it, we're not printing it immediately. This game doesn't rotate, right? This game doesn't have rotation. This is just an eternal format. So, all of the sets are legal, and they're going to keep being legal for years and years. If this game takes off, there's no way they can avoid doing an unlimited printing. There'd just be this huge random anomaly of one set that doesn't have enough supply out there, and now players can't play with those cards. So almost assuredly they'll do an unlimited printing at some point, especially if the game takes off, especially if they can launch their competitive play in 2021, if that all takes care and that's all safe to do that. There's no doubt. They got to do an unlimited printing. So, make sure you're aware of that. If you're looking to hold these for the long term, there's going to be a dip whenever that happens. Whenever that's announced, you're going to see people panic. They're going to want to get out of the market. They're going to sell. That's okay. Just relax. There's probably going to be an unlimited printing, and that's good for the health of the game. This game is so young. It's a year old. They need people to play it. They need people to play it. Otherwise, everyone, all the speculators, investors, evil collectors, they all just gobble it all up. They eat all the supply, all the product, and no one can play anymore. No one can actually play the game, and the game dies. Or, hey, I have a good deck, but unfortunately I need 5 cards from Crucible of War, and so my $200 deck needs another $300, and now it's a $500 deck just for those 5 cards. Like, no one wants that. That's not good for the game with this random anomaly of a one line that doesn't have enough product. So, realistically, we're going to have to they're going to have to do an unlimited printing. I'm almost sure they will. No, I don't have any inside information. It's my opinion. It could be wrong. We'll see. It makes sense that they would. But if you want this game, you might just hold off on Crucible of War. You might just say, hey, I'll buy in on Monarch. I'll start playing on Monarch. Or I'll get some unlimited printings of Welcome to Wraith or Arcane Rising. I can play the game. To play the game at $400 a box, that's steep. That's a lot of money. Even if you make good money, that's still a lot of money. Like even if you're not, a regular just person, even if you're like in the wealthy class, that's just a lot of money for one box, right? I mean, it's expensive for a card game, for a trading card game. So if you're trying to play it, wait till the unlimited printing, play with some other cards, play with some other sets. That's going to be your best bet. Will Crucible of War ever come down? I'm sure it'll take a dip. Those first edition boxes will probably keep going up. They might be at $1,000 before 3-4 months from now. We'll see what happens with 2021. If they can never get their organized play going and launching that with Channel Fireball supporting them and producing content, and if they start having huge conventions and big Grand Prix type tournaments, that's going to be huge for the game. Yes, Crucible of War, we're going to see those alpha printings go up if that's the case. Eventually they'll dip down if they do another printing. There's a lot of unknown, there's a lot of risk. It's going to be a wild ride. I'll keep you updated as new events come out.